welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make two different types of matcha mousse. So these are both matcha mousses, but one of them is made with egg yolk and the other is made with egg white. I'm really excited to show you these recipes today because the main recipe is from my boyfriend's mum, Mama Noda, and the recipe is for Matcha no Babaroa. So in English that would be Matcha Bavarian Creme. So I looked up what that was, and it seems to be a set cream on a sponge base, if you look it up in French. But if you look it up in English, Bavarian cream seems to be a creamy pudding-style dessert, which has no sponge base. And if you look it up in Japanese, it's also a creamy pudding. But this only uses egg yolk. And if you remember, when I made the strawberry sandwich, then we made an egg yolk custard. And I said that you can make a simple mousse out of the egg whites. Today, because the Bavarian cream only uses egg yolk, I thought I'd show you how to make the simple egg white mousse too. So to do that, I'm going to use matcha and white chocolate and make two very small extra mousses. But that's enough of an introduction, so let's check out how to make these matcha desserts. Okay, so let's get started. These are the ingredients that you'll need for the two matcha mousses. For cooking with matcha, then you don't need to use super high quality stuff, but you do need to make sure that you have the powder version. And for the gelatin, I'm using a very fine gelatin powder. And of course, we'll be separating one of these guys. We're going to start with the matcha Bavarian cream. So first off, we're going to start by cracking that egg and separating the white from the yolk. Just like, no. Okay, maybe not just like that. Let's try that again. So we're going to start off by cracking an egg carefully and separating the white from the yolk. Don't worry, I scrambled that other egg for my lunch. So usually I would crack the egg by carefully placing it back and forth between the shell, but this time because I got a little bit nervous, I started using my fingers instead, which admittedly is a slightly safer way of doing it. And then we're going to take that yolk and we're going to put it straight into a pan. And this is totally gratuitous, but we're just going to pierce it on camera because it looks pretty. Then we're just going to lightly beat it with our spatula so that it's easier to incorporate the other ingredients. And we're going to add our milk and sugar on a low heat. And we want to keep stirring consistently on that low heat until it thickens. As soon as it starts boiling and these bubbles start to appear, turn off the heat. Then we're going to get our 2 tablespoons of matcha powder. This might seem like a lot, but trust me, more is better in this case. Then we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of hot water. This does not need to be boiling, that would be pretty dangerous with the tablespoon, but it needs to be warm enough so that you can stir it. And as you can see, we're going for a paste rather than a tea here, so don't go crazy with the water. Then we're going to get 2 tablespoons of gelatin, and I'm just putting that into my little sake cup here with 2 tablespoons of hot water. Because this gelatin is fairly fine, then it only needs water with a fairly low heat for it to dissolve. Then we're just going to give that a little stirry stir until it's nice and gloopy. Be careful and don't prep half of this beforehand because that gelatin will set very quickly, so we want it to still be quite warm when we're using it. Then we're going to add both the gelatin and the matcha paste to our egg mixture. And just mix it around until everything has gone nice and green. Then, because it's a slightly weird texture, we're going to put it through a sieve into a bowl so that it's as smooth as possible. Then put that in the fridge whilst we whip up our cream. Don't leave it in the fridge for too long because then it will set and you won't be able to mix them. Whipped cream whips best when it's cold, so I'd recommend whipping it with another bowl of ice underneath if you're in a warm room like this. Otherwise, it'll take a bit longer to whip and it won't be quite the same texture that you might be used to, as you can see here. However, it's still perfectly usable, so let's start adding our cooled matcha mixture. Just bring this together with a spatula and keep on mixing until you have a velvety smooth, creamy matcha mixture. Then pour your matcha mousse mix into your container of choice. Apparently, Mama Noda would usually pour this into several small cups or ramekins, but here I'm going for an extravagant 1 cup mousse. So pour that all in, make sure that the top is nice and even, and put it in the fridge for at least 3 hours. Now we're going to use those egg whites to make our 2 smaller mousses. These are quite chocolatey and sweet in comparison, but because they're in such small portions, then it doesn't really matter, does it? Unlike cream, egg whites whip better at room temperature, so you can leave this at room temperature whilst you're doing everything else. Then you're just going to whip and whip and whip and whip until stiff peaks start forming. That means when you pick it up, nothing moves. And this time we're going to use 1 tablespoon of matcha to 1 tablespoon of water. Then bring about an inch of water to a simmer and put a heat-proof bowl on top of the pot. Make sure that the bowl is not touching the bottom of the pan or the water, and then we're going to put in our white chocolate. I'm using about 15 grams of white chocolate here, and if you have access to cooking white chocolate, then I would recommend that over this stuff because it will melt a lot easier and be a lot smoother. Then we're just going to mix that around until everything is nice and melty, and then we're going to add in our matcha paste. Then we're going to add our whipped egg whites. It's a good idea to incorporate a small bit of the egg white to the chocolate mixture first. This is so that the chocolate doesn't get too stiff too quickly. Then you can go ahead and mix everything together. Use a spatula for this and just fold it in carefully so that we don't lose all of the air that we've added to the egg. Then I'm pouring it into my 2 little ochoko. And then put those in the fridge for 2 to 3 hours. Then, for a little bit of contrast and decoration, I'm just shaving some frozen white chocolate into little curls. Then, once our egg white mousse is set, we're just going to bring it out and add our white chocolate curls. I had to use chopsticks for this and it was pretty difficult, but I think it looks pretty cute. And just one more for good luck. Aww, look how tiny it is. And now for the main act, our Bavarian cream. Then I just added some sugar to some whipped cream and I'm just adding that on top for some contrast and decoration. And I thought it would look pretty cool if I just dusted a little bit of matcha on top too.
And there you have it, some beautiful matcha desserts. The white chocolate version is a lot sweeter, whereas the Bavarian cream is unsurprisingly a lot creamier and smoother. Thank you Mama Noda for the delicious Bavarian cream recipe.
And thank you guys for watching. See you next time!